Join my Patreon at patreon.com/meltyenjoys. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you couldn't already tell, I am extremely pumped up today because I'm officially kicking off my watch of Star Trek, the original series on this channel. And oh boy, am I excited. So a little background on Star Trek, in my life at least. This is a show that was always on when I was a kid in some capacity. Like, it was just always there. Like, I can't picture a time where I didn't know Star Trek. My dad loved it a lot. He loved sharing the shows that he grew up on with us, and this one was a big one. The way my dad talks about Star Trek, you would think that he's talking about some of his oldest friends, like the way he talks about like Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock and Dr. McCoy. It's like, do you know these people in real life? It's kind of hard to explain, but the way he talks about these things sometimes, it's like you would think he is speaking about some of his best friends. But I have a nostalgic attachment to Star Trek because I bond with my dad over it a lot. You know, it just kind of feels like our show, and I feel like I have a really special relationship with Star Trek because my dad shared it with me and we're kind of buddies over it. I also officially binged the original series like 8 or 9 years ago, and I loved it. It's easily one of my favorite shows I've probably ever watched. It's definitely a comfort show. Like, I will put it on if I'm stressed out or if I've had a bad day, I'll put it on in the background. It just makes me feel like safe and happy. I love how all over the board it is. It can be so funny and comedic and campy and cheesy and delightful, but it can also be like really serious and heartbreaking and have really good acting and really good characters and really good scripts. And I just love the combination of those two things because it makes for some really entertaining watching. And of course, obviously, Shatner being Shatner, how do you not love the guy? I'm Captain Kirk! He's the best in this show. He's the absolute best. I love the guy. What I love the most about Star Trek is it is a show about the human experience first and what it means to be human, and it is a sci-fi show second. And a lot of that is due to the fact that the original series had the budget of a paperclip, so they couldn't really afford to do like big, flashy special effects. So they had to rely on their characters and their storytelling being really good. As a result, I think that's why it's one of my favorite shows. I appreciate it more for its character writing and the nuance of the stories as opposed to the fact that it's like a grand sci-fi in space. It's just like sci-fi just happens to be the setting. Star Trek really resonates with me personally, at least old Star Trek. I don't watch any of this. We don't talk about this new stuff. We don't talk about new Star Trek. So I have a great experience with Star Trek, and I am so excited to dive on into this show today. But before we do that, if you are new here, welcome to my channel. I love retro TV. I love classic TV. I don't see a lot of people talking about it online, with maybe the exception of Star Trek, because I know that there are a lot of other people that watch Star Trek, the original series, and comment on it as well, but not for many other classic series. So if you're new here, welcome. I like watching old television and sharing my joy and love of it in hopes that somebody else will love and enjoy it as much as I do. So I'm happy to have you here. Click that like button for this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you know when all of the newest videos are going to come out. Side note here, I know that like the first 6 episodes of the original series are filmed out of order. I think the first technical episode is The Cage, but The Man Trap was listed first in the season because NBC was like, hey, it's got action and a monster, so we should put it first because people like that, right? And so I guess they put it at the first of the season, so I'm gonna watch The Man Trap first, then I'll watch The Cage, then I'll watch Where No Man Has Gone Before. I'm not really too terribly worried about the order, but The Man Trap is technically first, so All right, I'm going to read the episode description off of IMDb because the Paramount descriptions are kind of lame and they're like one sentence. Okay, so Star Trek the original series, The Man Trap. The episode description is, Dr. McCoy discovers his old flame is not what she seems after crew members begin dying from a sudden lack of salt in their bodies. I'm suddenly remembering what happens in this episode. I am so excited. I love this show, you guys.
Ship Surgeon McCoy and myself are now beaming down to the planet's surface.
That set is incredible.
Routine, but for the fact that Nancy Crater is that one woman in Dr. McCoy's past.
Why would you say that, Jim? Like, why was that necessary?
When a man visits an old girlfriend, she usually expects something like that.
God, the light staging is amazing.
You see, we walked out of each other's lives 10 years ago.
Leonard.
Nancy.
Hello.
She looks familiar. I'm sure I've seen her on another show.
This is Captain Jim Kirk of the Enterprise.
Wait, why was the music like... Shock, she's old.
How do you do, man?
Changes her face.
I would swear that you were somebody I left behind on Wrigley's Pleasure Planet.
Wrigley's Pleasure Planet.
Why don't you step outside, Doc?
You've stepped over your boundaries, Darnell.
Maybe I'll step outside, too.
What? And let Plum examine me all alone?
Plum?
Plum. Oh man, I forgot how good the line delivery is from Shatner.
Be back in a minute.
Not the Wrigley's Pleasure Planet, girl. I'm only slightly uncomfortable. What exactly happened on Wrigley's Pleasure Planet?
Space, the final frontier.
You know, I wish I could showcase this whole theme, but I would get copyright struck if I did.
Go away. We don't want you. What you want is unimportant right now. What you will get is what is required by the book.
Go off, Bones. Go off.
Like it or not, Professor, as commander of the starship, I'm required
To show your gold braid to everyone. You love it, don't you?
He's all yours,
Okay,
Plum.
a little hostile.
He's all yours, Plum. Dr. McCoy.
He's yours, Plum.
Looks exactly as I knew her 12 years ago. There's not a gray hair in her head.
Excuse me, Professor. She's a handsome woman, yes, but hardly 25.
Bones like, what did you just say?
You've seen my wife with the eyes of your past attachment, Doctor.
Bones is like in his 40s, isn't he? He's a little older than Spock and Kirk, right? He got sucked by an octopus.
Dead, Jim.
And so it begins. He's dead, Jim.
I've just lost a crewman, Mrs. Crater. I want to know what happened.
In my headphones, I can hear like the white noise of the space sound, and it's really cool.
I wanted him to know I wasn't offended by the things he'd said back there. You remember?
What, that you look like a girl from Pleasure Planet?
I noticed he had a Borgia plant in his hand. He'd taken a bite from it. He fell. The minute you look at me like you don't believe me.
No. It's not that at all. It's something entirely different.
We don't need an examination. You can see that.
Oh, shut up.
Salt. I did ask him about more salt tablets.
I'll take care of the provisioning, Nancy.
Mr. Spock, sometimes I think if I hear that word frequency once more, I'll cry.
Cry. I have no answer. Well, then this man wasn't poisoned.
There were bits of the plant in his mouth.
Jim, don't tell me my business. He could not have swallowed any.
Then what kills a healthy man?
I'll tell you something else. This man shouldn't be dead.
God, they're so good.
According to all the tests, he should get up and just walk away from here. But I swear, Jim, when I first saw her, she looked just as I'd known her 10 years ago.
How your lost love affects your vision, Doctor, doesn't interest me. I've lost a man. I
Oof.
don't know what killed him.
Yes, sir.
Oof. Oh, I love that so much. I love the fact that they're friends with each other, But like the second it's time to get down to business, they are just professional. They are just on. Oh, I love that.
But we are certain the cause of death was not poison.
Message, Captain.
That girl is poison.
Space Commander Dominguez says we have supplies he urgently needs.
Tell Jose he'll get us chili peppers when we get there. I handpicked them myself, but he won't die if he goes a few more days without them. Got it?
What? God, I love the sound of the bridge. Those sound effects are just so comforting to me.
Fascinating. So improbable, we almost didn't check it.
What?
The big three.
This man has no salt in his body at
Can
all.
you explain that, Doctor?
I can't,
Ah, there isn't a mark on his body.
except the red rings on his face.
You call that skin mottling?
I thought it was, sir. Another error on my part.
I'm not counting them bones.
I love that. Oh, I love that.
You, in the mood for an apology?
Forget it.
Good Lord. I love the character relationships on this show.
Considering the inescapable fact that you are a trespasser on my planet.
Your complaint is noted, sir. Look,
Kirk just gets down to business. He just gets it done, and I love him.
Bones, tell the professor what the autopsy revealed.
Our crewman died of salt depletion.
Both you and Mrs. Crater requested salt tablets. But it's a mystery. And I don't like mysteries. Give me a bellyache, and I got a beauty right now.
I love him so much. I love this show, and I love these characters.
Salt.
Thank you for verifying that, Bones. Appreciate it.
Guess I'm gonna have to ask you and Mrs. Crater to stay aboard my ship until we find out what killed that crewman.
Wait, but if you suspect them, why would you bring them on your ship?
I've got salt! Smell it! Smell it, Nancy! Professor Crater!
That sounded like so set like.
Jim! It's sturgeon!
No, not sturgeon too, and they weren't even wearing red shirts.
Reed!
Okay. Not the organ music. Well, it's been a while since I've sat down to watch this show all the way through.
Did you see this?
Yes, sir. Sturgeon was dead when I found him.
Have you seen Nancy?
No, sir.
Jim!
You could learn something from Mr. Spock, Doctor. Stop thinking with your glands.
Stop thinking with your glands. The ultimate insult. Oh my god. The longer this goes on, the more I see why they made it the first episode of the show. It is engaging. It's like a fun little murder mystery.
There's a body down there, a sturgeon.
We'll bring him home, sir.
Oh, that was kind of sad. The light staging of this show is really, really great, especially because it's so, like, the sets are so minimal. And the light really adds a lot to it. Also, I liked how the camera followed him. That was fun. Grace Lee Whitney. She did not. Why is she eating the butt end of it first?
Why don't you go chase an asteroid?
Get him, girl.
Yeah, how'd you like to have her as your own personal yeoman?
Yeah, totally. I'm a crewman on this ship as well. Didn't they drop her character by, like, season 2? Like, she had this weird, flirty relationship with Captain Kirk, and then she, like, disappears.
May the great bird of the galaxy bless your planet.
Thank you.
She ate food off of his tray. That wasn't for her.
He is not an inanimate object. He's so animate he makes me nervous.
Oh my god, there's so many great quotes in this episode.
Keep expecting one of these plants of yours to grab me.
I'm gonna ignore that. Look at
Hello,
this.
Green.
Look at the spray bottles.
You been nipping sorry and brandy or something?
Oh my god, that's just a dude's hand. That's incredible.
Take it easy. Calm down.
Suppose he's going space happy or something?
There is so much incredible dialogue in this episode. Stop thinking with your glands. He's so animate, it makes me nervous. Space happy? She called him space happy.
Still rattles when it opens. Would you stop by and see if you can do something about it? Do I know you?
In a way, ma'am. You were just thinking of someone like me.
Ooh, it can read people's thoughts? I don't remember that.
Lieutenant Uhura to the bridge.
I better get this tray back.
That was weird for everyone. Also, Sulu, Janice ate your food. Stop, I love these lighting shots.
Nothing to report, Doctor. We haven't located Mrs. Crater. What's the matter? Can't you sleep?
Man, this show predicted so much technology of our time.
You'll sleep.
Wait, what did he just eat? I don't know what that outfit was. But I'm gonna have to pause and freeze frame in on that because what the heck was that?
All right, we'll triangulate on him. We'll let Professor Crater explain what happened to his wife.
How are your plastic little cubes, Captain Kirk? His little green Lego dinner. No!
Nancy, come in. I've been worried sick about you.
He's not gonna question how she got there.
I wonder why Jim didn't tell me he found you.
Okay.
I'm so happy to see you, Leonard. You do care, don't you, Leonard? It makes me feel so safe.
Hands off, lady.
My husband? I like your feelings better.
Okay.
I'll get you some water.
No, Nancy's gonna kill you, Bones. And the guy with the terrible costume is now dead.
Look at his face.
The octopus salt monster got to him too.
You're so tired, darling. Just rest now. Nancy will take care of everything.
This is a wild idea for an episode.
Dr. McCoy, to the bridge.
You know, I haven't watched this show all the way through in a very long time. And it's kind of fun. Because it's like watching it again for the first time.
The answer lies with Professor Crater.
He's just waiting there.
Professor Crater, go away! We don't want you here!
We? Professor, you're a reasonable man. Let me...
Hold that thought. This is a very fun first episode for the show.
Bridge, Zulu.
Security, condition 3.
GQ, security 3, sir.
Oh my god, they're all so professional and cool.
I'll kill to stay alone! You hear that, Kirk?
Obviously, taking him alive is going to be...
He's not trying to kill us, he's trying to frighten us.
Oh my god, they're so cool. I have many things I want to say, but it's just like they are so cool. He invented the serpentine. Oh, I love Shatner. I love Shatner. That was just perfect. Do it again. Or you could do that. God, he is the greatest. The styrofoam little tower thing moved.
She was the last of her kind.
Did his voice deepen? I love the space white noise. I love that sound.
Creatures here. Once there were millions of them. Now there's one left. Nancy understood.
Always in the past tense.
Because she's dead.
Where's your wife? Where is she now?
Dead. Buried up on the hill that killed her.
The salt monster sucked Nancy to death?
The creature was trying to survive. It has that right.
It sucked Nancy to death, and then he just helped it?
Dr. McCoy? Medical department report, Doctor.
Well, we could offer it solved without tricks. There's no reason for it to attack us. There's no need to hunt it down.
A very interesting hypothesis, Doctor.
And you just gave yourself away.
Still no lead on intruder.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
It is really cool how Star Trek predicted our technology.
But this creature's aboard my ship, and I'll have it. Or I'll have your skin. Oh, both. Now, where is it?
James T. Kirk does not play.
It needs love as much as it needs salt. When it...
Me.
You saving the last of its kind, or has this become Crater's private heaven? here on this planet.
Call him out, dude.
Are you going to help us find it?
Does he know it's right there?
Recommend we use truth serum, Captain.
Oh, good. I'm glad we have a supply of truth serum aboard.
Thank you.
I'll accompany you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, that look. Spock was like, this is extremely suspicious. I'll handle this. What?
Professor Crater.
Why didn't it suck all the salt out of Spock? Or
Fortunately, my ancestors spawned in another ocean than yours did.
oh, good. Phew, crisis averted. Not the freeze frame.
What's going on here, Jim?
She's not Nancy, Bones.
Are you insane?
It killed 4 crewmen. It needs salt to live.
How much salt does this thing need to live?
McCoy, get out of the way! Hey, you want this?
Are you out of your mind?
Get out of the way!
Why don't you back up? What are you doing? No, it's gonna suck the captain!
It's killing the captain. Shoot it, Doctor, quickly. No!
Shoot it!
This is not Nancy. Nancy, did she take this? Stop it!
No, Nancy can't take it. I'm sorry.
Is that Nancy, Doctor?
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow, that costume.
Leonard, no.
Nancy not looking too good.
Lord, forgive me.
Thank you. You will suck no one else's salt no more. I wonder if that's actually her in the costume. Also, I love Spock's tinfoil bandage. Wow. If she were Nancy, could she take this?
Ready to leave orbit, Captain.
Aw, Jim.
Warp 1, Mr. Sulu.
Warp 1, sir. Leaving orbit.
Okay, what an ending. Wow. Never going back to that planet again. Always be wary of salt monsters, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the longer that episode went on, the more I was just like, I just love this show so much. It has been a hot second since I've actually watched the show all the way through. I definitely have specific episodes of Star Trek that are my favorite, or my designated favorites versus others, but I forgot how good that episode is. It's like a fun little murder mystery for the first episode. The characters are all really well defined for being this early on in the season. They are all very much themselves. I feel like Star Trek is one of those shows where it didn't take a big jump or a big adjustment for the main cast to find their characters. Everyone is pretty defined by the first few episodes. So that's really cool to see, because not every TV show goes through that, you know? Not all of them have that smooth of a transition. Sometimes it takes a few episodes for the actors to really find their characters. I think Leonard Nimoy probably had the biggest adjustment out of all of them, because if I recall in the cage, not only was his outfit and his costume and his eyebrows were just a little bit more crazy than they were later on in the show, but he also displayed much more emotion. So I would have to argue that maybe he went through more of a dramatic transition than Kirk or McCoy did. But for the most part, they're all there. They're very recognizable as their characters. The characters on this show are all really good friends with each other, right? They have a withstanding relationship, they're buddies. But when it's time to be professional and get down to business, they are professional to the max. My favorite moment in this episode is the scene where Kirk gets mad at Bones for losing himself in his infatuation with Nancy. And so he corrects him, and then Bones is like, "Sir?" And then Bones keeps referring to him as sir, and then Kirk kind of breaks it, and he's like, "I'm not counting your errors. You had a mishap, buddy. It happens." And it's just, as professional as these guys are, they know when to lighten the mood, to be like, "Hey, we're friends versus like, hey, we got to get done now, get in and focus. I love the balance. You can tell all of these characters are good friends and they can joke around with each other, but when it's time to get done, they get down to business and they are going to be so professional. And I just love that because I don't think every show understands that balance. Nowadays, in a lot of television, it's like you'll have like a super serious moment and then it's broken up by the most ill-timed humor, and you're like, this is a serious scene, but you just brought it down with a joke, and it has no place being in that moment. But like shows like this and like Star Trek, and subsequently shows like Hawaii Five-0, know when to do that. It's like, hey, our main characters are friends and they're gonna joke around, but when we need them to be serious, they're gonna be serious. Also, this show has so much great dialogue. like just them talking about like the Pleasure Planet girl in the beginning, the stop thinking with your glands line. I'm so gonna steal that. Space happy, another great term. And he's so animate, it makes me nervous. You know what? Honestly, I haven't seen The Cage in a minute, so maybe I'll change my mind when I watch The Cage. But that's a pretty good season opener, I would say. It's like a fun little murder mystery, helps you get to know the cast really well. It just kind of throws you in and immerses you in like the universe that these characters exist in. So I think all in all, it's a great start to the season. And my God, Shatner is just the greatest. I love him in this show so much. I do actually want to look up who played Nancy. Let's look into that. Nancy was played by Jeanne, but it looks like it's Jeanine Ball, who played the Salt Monster. She was on Perry Mason, very cool. She was on Bonanza. Who was she on Bonanza? Okay, this is really weird. So Jeanne Ball was on Bonanza, and she was in the episode The Saga of Whizzer McGee. That's a real episode name, I swear. And she played a character named Melissa. I did not know that that's what her character's name was, but I have seen this episode of Bonanza. It's actually kind of a sad one, if I remember the ending. But she played the girl that Whizzer, I can't say that seriously. She played the girl that Whizzer was into, but I didn't remember that her name was Melissa. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so she was on Bonanza. That's pretty cool. She was on Perry Mason. She was on Star Trek. She was on I Spy. She was on other shows like Hey Landlord and Karen and The Fugitive. I wonder if that was actually her in the costume. But if that was actually her in the costume, that's pretty freaking cool. I guess that finishes up our first episode of Star Trek, the original series, The Man Trap. A fun horror murder mystery, if you will. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know. And we're starting Star Trek now. Yay, I'm so excited. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time where we will probably watch The Cage. So until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.